here of a large national archives, and we're documenting one of the great strongholds of the Powerland, Pelan, 137th Street and Willis, where there was a large population of great gods and earths here. And here we have a flag, a universal flag. Beautiful universal flag of righteousness. Peace, Allah, B.
Hey.
Yes, God, this was one of the strongholds. I used to come here and see God and earth. This God named Supreme, who was a paramedic now, and his queen, Mother Civilization. They used to live in that house right down there, God. And it was a beautiful experience seeing God and earth, God. Any memories, beautiful memories?
Well, my memories in this area is shadowed in the early days, right? When I say early days, I'm talking about the period in the mid and late 60s, the period in the mid and late 60s.
Yes.
Okay. In later years, the period of the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and even the 2000s, it was a very strong hold and very representative of the Powerland. Like, we made Pelan the Powerland when about 500s came to Parliament one time in Equality Guard, and the father recognized that power from Pelan. And as it was called Pelan, but we had started calling it the Powerland because we came from a land with a lot of power in it, as represented by the nation. But in the later years, specifically when I came home, this was a very strong area. This was the area, in fact, where we used to hold the Pelan or Powerland civilization classes and dance and things of that nature. Right down the block, I remember it used to be where we first hold our civilization classes, or where civilization was conducted. Then we moved around the corner to 138th Street on the second floor. It was a big place that we held civilization classes and dances and Nation of Gods and Earth's activities. So this area was the epicenter of activity in the early days and even in the later days. And as we grew, we developed, and we developed not only within ourselves but within the community. As you can see on this very mural, you know, it's a mural of the community that we haven't established no stores or anything here, but it's a mural in the community, and they grace the flag, or the flag graced the wall as representative of the power in this land, of the gods and earths in the community. You know, you can see it, and it's faded, but it's been up there for decades. You know, if you look at the list of names, actually, there's only one name that's up there, right? And that's Jamal, and I don't know exactly which Jamal that is, you know, but it's Jamal. And he was recognized with those from the Mitchell Project, which is across the street. And there's a lot of gods and earths in the Mitchell Project, as it is today. In fact, the Mitchell Project today is where Rashid, in the wheelchair, has his basketball tournament. So we still influential in the community of the God, Rashid, and I just described so you could know him better, in the wheelchair, but that doesn't mean he's handicapped. He's a rapper, he's a community activist, he's a coach of a neighborhood basketball team. Well, he conducts his basketball team right here in the Mitchell Project. And you see Mitchell PJ, that represents Mitchell Project, but it's on the neighborhood street. So it's all neighborhood, all community. You know, and I wish we had seen Rashid out here as I mentioned his name. But he has a major basketball tournament for youth that go from 8 years old to 17 years old, you know? And you get a lot of sponsorship from the stores in the community. And although it's a community basketball tournament,
right here, God?
Right here in the Mitchell, you can see this court.
Right, the place. I used to
playground.
Yeah, I used to be right there. Yeah.
You can see teams come from Fort Greene Project.
Yes.
from the St. Nicholas Project,
right,
you know, and the surrounding neighborhoods. Because before he got the rights to play in the project, he used to play in 136th Street in the little small side playground. And then when it expanded to the larger mental project. But it goes on today. And Rasheem is recruiting teams and coaches and sponsors annually. And he got a dynamite tournament where he gives shirts out. It'd be big DJs, activities, food, everything. And it'd be big time sponsorship of his tournament, but it's Rasheem, the God in the community, the gods and the earth in the community. And we put you to Powerland, huh? Okay, that's good.
okay,
All right. You let him know you mentioned his tournament.
I'm gonna give him a copy.
That's please. All right? So, boy, we can move on.
Definitely. All right. Yeah. Allah B at Kelly Street Park.
52 Park.
52 Park.
On Kelly Street.
On Kelly Street.
Right.
Peace, God.
Peace. Yes, we on Kelly Street. And the public school is 52.
52.
That's one of the schools that I really first started teaching around, and I would say 65, in the spring of 65. I really started teaching in Pelan and the end of 64, maybe November, December. But actually, I had started teaching in Pelan ever since I came to Pelan. And I moved up here, or at least my old earth moved up here when I was knowledge equality, 16 in September, the middle of September, maybe September 11th, 1964, somewhere around that time. But what I was teaching was the teachings that we was getting from the Nation of Islam. Donald Elijah Muhammad and this Nation of Islam, Malcolm was teaching. I was living in Mecca up until I was 16, so we was going to the mosque and stuff like that. But when I came up here, I had that information. I knew who the original man was. I knew the teachings of who the original man was, and was teaching what I knew about that. You know, not eating pig, you know, going to the mosque whenever you could, and things of that nature. But an element that was in the streets in Mecca in 62, 63 to 64 was that of the Blood Brothers. And although we was going to the mosque at that time, we never really became Muslims, as the paper started calling them black Muslims, but it was the NOI, the Nation of Islam Muslims, under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So we had those basic teachings, but we didn't have the emphasis that, like, when the Father came and he gave us the supreme mathematics, supreme alphabets, and put things in order of supreme mathematics for us, then we had got power. He had empowered us, and we didn't have to go and follow the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We didn't have to follow Malcolm X. We didn't have to follow Captain Joseph, later Farrakhan, any of those people that we had to be anybody's follower. We was empowered because we was the power percent on the poor part of the planet Earth. So when I came, I had those basic teachings, and that's what I wanted to get in the street with in Pelan, as I had in Mecca with those teachings. But when I moved to Pelan, now I was getting the real teachings of Almighty God Allah. And when I came out in the spring of 65, I started teaching supreme mathematics, supreme alphabets, and the teachings that we was teaching. And I was going to Mecca, constantly going to Mecca. But every day at 3 o'clock, or thereabouts, I would do a little work here at PS 52. Then, in addition to PS teaching at PS 52, I used to teach in the playground. And the playground was different. I remember the basketball court was this area here. And everything that you see with the baby pools and stuff, that wasn't there. The basketball court was going this way. We used to play on the basketball courts here. I think it was a basketball court there. I remember these trees being here, these seats being here.
be.
Yes.
The Father, He sent you here.
That was later. Okay? We don't want to get ahead of ourselves. That I was born and raised in Mecca. I was born in Harlem Hospital in 1948. I lived my first 16 years of my life in Mecca, 146th Street, between 7 and 8. Everything I did, I went to schools in Mecca, I lived in Mecca, everything I learned was in Mecca. Then my old earth moved up here in 1964, September 1964. But where was my heart? In Mecca, so I'm going back to Mecca.